The man tapped the table with impatience and said, "You need to order or leave." The cafe fell quiet. Cups stopped clinking. Then a small voice rose between them and said, "Sir, we're sharing." No one knew it yet, but those two words were about to change everything. The cafe manager standing beside their table. The cafe sat on a narrow corner where mornings moved slowly. Sunlight slipped through tall windows, landing softly on worn wooden tables. It was the kind of place where people came to breathe between responsibilities. Students with notebooks, workers with tired eyes, couples whispering plans over warm mugs. At a table near the window sat a mother and her young child. The mother's coat was thin for the season, carefully buttoned. Her hands rested around a single cup of tea, untouched for a long while. The child, no older than 6, swung his feet gently beneath the chair, humming to himself as he traced circles on the tabletop. They had been there for nearly half an hour. The cafe manager noticed them from behind the counter. At first he thought nothing of it. People lingered all the time. But as minutes passed and orders piled up, his attention returned to the quiet pair. 1 cup, no food, no movement. He sighed and adjusted his apron. The cafe had rules. Tables needed turnover. Rent didn't wait for sympathy. The mother leaned closer to her child and whispered, "Are you okay?" The boy nodded quickly. "Yes, Mama." She smiled, the kind of smile that tries to be strong even when it's tired. The manager walked over, his steps firm but polite. "Excuse me," he said, keeping his voice low. "I'll need you to order something else, or I'll have to ask you to leave." The mother looked up, startled. For a moment, words failed her. Her fingers tightened around the cup. "I'm sorry," she said softly. "We'll be quick." The manager glanced at the empty plates around them. "You've been here a while," he replied. "I have customers waiting." The boy looked up then, eyes wide and curious. He sensed the tension but didn't understand it. The mother swallowed. "I understand," she said. "We're just—" She stopped herself. The truth hovered on her lips, heavy and fragile. The manager waited. The cafe waited. Then the child spoke. "We're sharing," he said simply. The manager frowned. "Sharing what?" The boy smiled, proud. "Mama's tea. And the bread we had before." There was no bread on the table. The mother closed her eyes for a brief second. When she opened them, they were glossy but calm. "We're waiting for lunch," she added gently. "We always share." The manager felt irritation rise. He had heard excuses before. Stories that tugged at him until he gave in and regretted it later. "I'm sorry," he said, firmer now. "This is a cafe, not a waiting room." The boy tilted his head. "We won't be long," he said. "Mama promised." The promise sat between them like a prayer. From the counter, a young waiter watched the scene unfold. He had been wiping cups when he noticed the boy's shoes. One sole worn thin, patched with tape. He noticed the mother's hands, rough at the edges, nails clean but short. The waiter remembered his own childhood, the way his mother used to water down soup so it could last another day. The manager sighed, feeling the weight of the morning. "Please," he said, "I need the table." The mother nodded slowly. She began to gather their things. A small cloth bag, neatly folded, light as air. The boy slid off his chair and took her hand. As they stood, the boy looked back at the table. "Mama," he whispered, "did we finish sharing?" She knelt to his level. "Almost," she said, brushing his hair back. "Almost." The word echoed. As they turned to leave, something shifted in the room. Conversations had softened. Eyes followed them. A woman near the window pressed her lips together. An elderly man lowered his newspaper. The waiter felt a tightening in his chest. "Wait," he said suddenly. The manager turned. "What is it?" The waiter hesitated. He looked at the mother, then at the boy. "Sir," he said, "they can take my break table." The manager frowned. "That's not the point." "I know," the waiter replied. "But let them stay." The mother shook her head quickly. "It's all right," she said. "We don't want trouble." The boy tugged her sleeve. "Mama," he whispered. It's okay. At that moment, the cafe door opened. A man entered, rain on his coat, eyes scanning the room. He stopped when he saw the mother and child standing near the door. There you are, he said softly. The mother turned, surprised. I didn't think you'd make it, she said. I ran late, he replied. But I promised. The boy's face lit up. You came. The man knelt and opened his bag. Inside were 2 sandwiches, carefully wrapped, still warm. I told you, he said to the boy. We'd share. The manager watched, confused. The man stood and looked at him. I'm sorry, he said. We were supposed to meet earlier. I asked them to wait. The mother nodded. He's my brother, she explained quietly. He just started work again. He brings lunch when he can. The room felt suddenly different. The manager's face softened. He looked at the boy, at the small hands unwrapping paper with care, at the way the mother broke her sandwich in half before taking a bite. The waiter felt warmth spread through his chest. I didn't know, the manager said. The man smiled gently. Sometimes you can't, he replied. Until you listen. The boy looked up, sandwich in hand. Sir, he said to the manager. Would you like some? We're sharing. Silence. The manager swallowed hard. Something inside him cracked open. Not painfully, but honestly. Please, the manager said, his voice low. Sit. He pulled out a chair himself. Lunch is on the house today. The mother's eyes filled. You don't have to, she said. I know, he replied. But I want to. The waiter brought plates, real ones, and an extra cup of tea. He placed them down with care, as if setting something sacred. As they ate, the cafe returned to its gentle hum. But something had changed. Smiles lingered longer. Conversations felt warmer. When the family finished, the manager approached again. I'm glad you waited, he said to the boy. The boy nodded. Mama says waiting is easier when you share. The manager smiled, eyes shining. Your mama is right. As they left, the mother turned back. Thank you, she said, for seeing us. The manager watched the door close behind them. He stood still for a moment, then turned back to the cafe with a new softness in his step. The man tapped the table with impatience and said, You need to order or leave. The cafe fell quiet. Cups stopped clinking. Then a small voice rose between them and said, Sir, we're sharing. No one knew it yet, but those 2 words were about to change everything.